Assalamu alaikum, family. Peace be unto you. Welcome to the Sajda Morning Coffee Talks, where we talk about life, love, and business. And this morning, we're going to talk about scarcity consciousness. So grab you some coffee. I got mine. And tell a friend and make sure you like and subscribe. And I'll be back in a couple of minutes. Give the algorithm time to let y'all know we're here. See you in a few.
O Allah, guide me among those whom Thou hast guided aright, and preserve me among those whom Thou hast preserved, and befriend me among those whom Thou hast befriended. Bless me in whatsoever Thou dost grant me, and deliver me from the evil of what Thou hast judged. Surely Thou judges, and none can judge against Thee, and he whom Thou befriendest is not disgraced. Blessed art Thou, O Lord, and exalted be Thee above what they set up besides Thee. I bear witness, nothing deserves to be served besides Thee, and I bear witness that Muhammad is Thy servant and apostle. Amen.
Assalamu alaikum, family. Happy fourth week. Peace be unto you. Welcome to the Sajda Morning Coffee Talks, where we talk about life, love, and business. This is where we just talk about stuff that doesn't fit into our regular business show. Excuse me. This is where we talk about that stuff, just things that come to mind. This is all about mental strategies, right? To help us navigate the world of business. That's the idea of it. With the understanding that approaching business, we have to be conscious entrepreneurs. We have to heal holistically so that we're not abusive, so that we're not predatorial, so that we understand how to properly handle people, how we can be healthy leaders, we can be whole people. We can not look for our team or our staff members to validate us. And we can think clearly. Think clearly about products and services. Because let me tell you, um, if we don't heal, we bring the same old stuff that we're struggling with in our relationships and the rest of our lives right into the business world. And it's not going to work. I think I've said this to you all before that um, in starting this show or I started blogging back in 2005 or six, and then doing the actual show in 2009, I thought it was necessary. But after I started traveling the world, and then specifically when I went to Liberia and I started to learn about the mindsets that the Americo Liberians had brought over to Liberia, and how much of that contributed to a lot of the issues that the country is facing, I said, this is all the more reason why I believe we need a show like this and others that are really helping us focus on mental strategies. And for me, as a business person, people would consider me a hardcore business person in that, having been a consulting, having been somebody who people hire out and bring in to actually put their businesses together, all the components of the business. Um, a lot of people think, well, why would you be the one doing something like this? Why do that? And I said, well, the reason why I think it's important is because it's one thing to get the technical stuff in line. It's one thing to figure it out technically. It's another thing to know what you need to do up here in order to survive, in order to thrive, in order to navigate some of the warfare that you have to deal with. If you start getting obsessed with, people coming after your business, and you start getting obsessed with all of this kind of stuff, then guess what? It's going to be hard for you to do business. It's going to be tough, because when people are obsessed with you to the point where they're stalking you and following you and stuff like that, you can't keep up with them because you have no idea what they're going to be doing. I'm burning my little Palo Santo this morning. I just love the smell of it. There's something about it. Yeah, I want to talk about scarcity concept. How many of you are drinking your coffee? What y'all drinking this morning? I see y'all in the chat. Give me some feedback on what y'all thought about yesterday's coffee talk. What'd you think about Monday morning motivation? Thursday was 4th of July. We did a rerun. So we're going to continue with chapter 2 of the Mind of an Entrepreneur book next Thursday. Some people saying they got coffee. All right, scarcity consciousness. A scarcity mindset. What is that? It is when you are so obsessed with the lack of something, usually time or money, that you can't seem to focus on anything else, no matter how hard you try. Now, I can go into the origin. I think we all know where it comes from. But let's just break it down a little bit. Scarcity mindset. You know what? Let me get us the definition to put up here on scarcity. I think we all know what it means, but it's really cool when we can get the definition up here. and break it down. Okay, so we got it. Let me bring this over here so that y'all can see it. Let's see, what is scarcity? All right, so scarcity is the state of being scarce or in short supply. That brings a little color to it, right? Because whenever we are operating in a space where we think that there's not enough of anything, there's not enough money out here, there's not enough attention out here. You see us with, we call it crabs in the barrel. We're all clamoring for the same amount of attention. You know, you go to an event and all you see are, you know, a bunch of people just trying to get attention. Who can dress a certain way and get the most eyeballs on them? They got us caught up in that on social media, where we're looking at likes and all of that. And if they shadow ban us, they know that some of us won't even watch a show because we'll look and say, oh, that's only 100 views or it's only 50 views. And so we think it's not that good. And so they've already known that, you know, the matrix knows, matrix operators know that most of us are in a scarcity minded space. And so we are always operating as if something is in short supply, and then we're able to be manipulated. So if we say, well, don't nobody hardly want that, and that means something is of less value, which is not. It's actually usually the opposite. And it's so ingrained in our subconscious that we move like there ain't enough of anything. Let me say this. Let me give you the other side of it. We have yet to discover all that God has created. We have yet to discover everything in the universe, every creation in the universe. We have yet to realize that there are things inside of each and every one of us, every creature, everything on the planet that we have not yet exhausted. I was just listening to a lecture the other day that the minister did where he was talking about that. We have yet to discover that. We don't even know all the numbers. We don't know all the mathematical combinations. We don't know all the healing mechanisms. We just don't know. We don't have the capacity. And then we come in, we're here on this planet, and then in this country where economics, this man-made creation that I call economics, because you know economics is not a science. A lot of people think that economics is similar to like medicine or something like that, but it's not. Economics is different. It's not even a science. So I don't want you guys thinking that. But in economics, they start talking to us about supply and demand, right? When something is in demand, they raise the prices. When something is not in demand, they lower the prices, you know, that kind of thing. They do all this weird stuff to demand. And that also then becomes the mentality with which we move through the world. So if we don't have that much money, we think that we're not all of that. If we don't have that many friends, we think, you know, don't nobody like me. Don't nobody care about me. Everything is based on volume and money because we're in this scarcity mindset, scarcity mentality. Excuse me. That's part of our problem. And when we move through the world like that, this is what makes us jealous. This is what makes us hate on each other. This is what makes us chase after the same man or the same woman. It's what makes us all want to wear the same outfit because we think that when we see that one thing, that's all there is and that there's not enough. We have no way of understanding that there's enough money. That, look, let me give you this. They even play this game with the Black community. They start coming out with these statistics. You know, our median income is going to be 0 and we ain't got no money. We have money. If there was not money and resources in the Black community, trust me, they wouldn't be here. trust me, other people wouldn't be here. When people move into the United States and they open a business, where do they go? Into the inner cities, usually into the Black community, and they get their start there. Whether it's nail shops, food, grocery stores, liquor stores, furniture stores, you name it. And there's resources there. Okay. If that was the case, then they wouldn't spend so much money on advertising and catering to it. If there wasn't money in our culture, people wouldn't be trying to steal it and try to take it. When people get sassy, they start acting like Black women. Why? Because there's something of value there. I can go on and on and on. If there was no value there, people wouldn't be they would just ignore it. That's the way. If you apply that economic strategy to yourselves, your culture, and your community, you would see that you must be of great value. Otherwise, people wouldn't be trying to dress like you. People wouldn't be trying to talk like you. People wouldn't be listening to music that you put together. It just wouldn't be the case. People they've taken whole genres of music and created them based upon a style of music that you and I came up with. But yet we sit here operating in scarcity, with a scarcity mindset, not liking each other, talking about each other, thinking, oh, I could never own a business because I don't have anything. I don't have any money. I could never be an artist because I don't have any money. Never. I'm going to give y'all a key to this. And this is something that I'm going to wait a little bit later because I really want to drive this point home so that we understand. We put up with all kind of things in relationships because we think I ain't going to never find a man. They tell us, oh, it's a shortage of Black men. Ain't no men out here. And so we don't think our attraction power is enough. So we start doing all kind of crazy stuff, taking off our clothes. You got so many young girls now that are being sex trafficked and their career goals are to be a stripper. And when they get dressed up, if you ever pay attention, it's like they go and shop where the strippers shop. And that's how they show up at graduation, at family dinners, at parties in front of adults. It's just acceptable. It's norm now because the whole idea is, let me try to do whatever I can to grab the attention of a few people, because if I don't get those few people's attention, then I'm never going to get any other attention, or I'm not going to get anything else. It's so bad now that children go to college and come out and come home and they can't find a job, and they sitting around depressed and they think, well, okay, I can't find a job, so let me do something else. Let me find something shady to do. I just posted the other day, if you can't find a job, then get you some money from your parents. Go to booksajdawendymmuhammad.com. Okay, you buy one session, I'll give you another session for free. And we're going to talk about what you can do to make money. We'll talk about how you can figure out how to make money, because we can create a job. We can get creative and show you where to go, so that you can make your own job. You can own your own job. But this scarcity mentality is really our doom. This is why we get envious and jealous of one another. I mean, we just see somebody and they can do one little thing, and then all of a sudden we're just jealous, we're envious, we get mad so quickly. Our fuses are short. We think everybody's out to get us because we think there ain't that much, out here, and ain't that many resources out here. Everything is scarcity, shortage. Let me know in the chat if you understand what I'm saying. It's really sad. And so when we get into this scarcity mindset, how are you going to open a business? How are you going to be a conscious entrepreneur? I remember my business partner in Maryland used to say, you can't be petty and be a business owner. You can be frugal, but you can't be petty. You just can't be. And so, how are you going to open a business? How are you going to have employees? How are you going to pour into your community with products and services? How are you going to make the best product that you possibly can if you have a scarcity mindset? See, it's the scarcity mindset that leads to this kind of greed where people think, let me hoard up everything I can, because if I don't, I'm never going to have it again. It's okay to, to obviously we got to prepare for a rainy day. We got to prepare our foods. We learn that our survival packages, our excess food, and making sure we got extra. Yeah. But some of us are hoarders because we live in a scarcity world. Some of us are greedy and we steal because we think it's never going to be enough. We have no confidence in somebody doing something for us. We have no confidence in a power greater than us that will provide. We have no confidence in that. It's all about gimme, gimme, gimme. Let me try to get a scam going. If she got a nice house, then I'm gonna hate on her, as if they don't make more nice houses. If she's pretty, let me hate on her. Look, there's a lot of different ways to be pretty. It's just, and you can always tell a person that operates on a scarcity mentality because they're quick to overreact to things. They automatically, it don't take them but a minute to start thinking that somebody's out to get them. There's no empathy. Usually people that are scarcity minded have very little or no empathy. Very little or no empathy. If somebody just look at them the wrong way, they ready to call the police. Because it's just, it creates a paranoia. It shows you your lack of faith. See, your faith in yourself should be strong enough to say, they're going to do right. It's going to be okay. Maybe they're going through something right now. I don't know what's going on in their life. Maybe they're going through a hard time. Let me fall back. Let me have a little mercy. Let me wait. Let me wait to see. But we're always so scared and so afraid. And a lot of us don't give because we have these trust issues, we have these paranoid issues. Guess what? That is no way to live your life. Because if you're focused on being paranoid, how can you focus on being creative? How can you focus on having a better life? How can you focus on manifesting? How can you focus on building a business? How can you focus on being a conscious entrepreneur if you're paranoid? You know that part of the game in business is that people take stuff, people break in businesses. It's heartbreaking when it happens. Trust me, I've been there a few times, but it does happen. It is part of the game. It is part of the risk that we take. But if you are into the flow, I remember this. I don't know when's the last time I told this story, but back in this was like early 2000s. I was on a flight from, well, I was supposed to be on a flight from Boston to Chicago, and there was snow in both places. And so we were stranded in the airport. It was so much snow up there, we couldn't even get to the hotel. And they kept telling us, y'all going to leave in an hour or 2 hours. They kept doing it. Next thing you know, it's like 2:00 in the morning and we stuck in the airport. And there was this guy, he was a money coach. And I was following him online at the time. We had just started like getting into Facebook and Blog Talk and all of that. And back then it was just a lot of music and all that kind of stuff on there. But this guy was in a lot of circles that I was in because I had started posting quotes. A lot of people got on Facebook and they was just putting pictures of families and stuff like that. And I'm gonna even take this leap. Even before Oprah started posting about quotes and being positive and uplifting, I was doing it. And there were people that lived where I lived in my building that worked on her staff. And next thing you know, she started posting quotes and positive, uplifting statements. But I was doing that way before. And I started doing it because I remember, what was that other thing that we were on before Facebook? MySpace. I remember when we were on MySpace, people would post pictures and complain and negative stuff. And I immediately started thinking about, this is the vibration that we're putting out here to the universe about ourselves. So I started posting uplifting things. I would post my picture and then I would put like a quote from maybe like a Tony Robbins or somebody who was a motivational teacher. And I would put that kind of thing up there. And I would just start posting it because that's the vibration that I wanted about myself going out into the universe. Because I could imagine at that time, 5,000, 10,000 people seeing this, and whatever they saw, they would associate with me. And I saw that energy coming back to me. So that's the reason why I started doing it. And then once I got into that space, I remember there was this money coach. He was this high-end coach. And I had emailed him and asked him if he would coach me. I had just become a certified emotional intelligence coach and learned about all these different tools that are out there where you can kind of start hacking your brain and reprogramming yourself. And he told me no. He said, no, you're not ready. Because back then, it wasn't a big race to be a coach. Coaches were very selective about who they worked with because they wanted to make sure that they got good results. And so he told me no. He said, you're not ready. And lo and behold, when I was stuck on this flight in this airport in Boston, trying to get back to Chicago, there he was sitting on the floor right across from me because I was sitting there. I remember I was reading a book and I looked up and I saw him and I told him that I had been following him and that I wanted to work with him and that he had turned me down. And then he said, wow, look at this. It's your lucky day. So he spent like 3 or 4 hours coaching me and talking to me about money. And he said to me, he said, the real reason why I turned you down, he's white. He said, is because I don't generally coach Black people. He said, and it's not a racial thing. It's because I don't know what to do about some of your mental challenges that you all have been passing down from slavery. He said, I don't know how to reverse that. And I remember saying to him, I said, well, I tell you what, in the case with me, don't worry about that. Because I got a teacher, got a couple teachers. They got that part on lock. I just want to learn and know what you learned about money. And there was a couple things I remember specifically. He talked to me about money. He said, you want to make sure that your money works for you and that you don't work for money. He's like, what are you doing? Where are you going? Why are you stuck in this airport? And I said, I'm on this project. He said, oh, so you work for money. He said, and your money don't work for you. And I was like, oh, whoa, and I wrote that down. And then he said, do you have a house? And at that time I had a condo. I said, I have a condo. And then he started asking me about it. And he said, oh, so you work for real estate. Your real estate don't work for you. And I said, what do you mean? I said, my real estate is in a good area and it's an up and coming area. At that time, I had a condo in the West Loop here in Chicago. This is before the West Loop is the way it is now. It was like at the beginning stages, a lot of those big businesses and restaurants weren't there. Most of them weren't. This is when Harpo Studios was in the space where McDonald's is right now. McDonald University is. And I said, he said, yeah, but you didn't know that. And you didn't say that to me. So you're not focused on your real estate growing. You're not focused on your real estate working for you. You're focused on working for your real estate because you want to make sure you can make that $1,600 payment every month. That's what you're worried about. He said, but if you shift your money psychology and your mindset so that you start thinking about real estate working for you, you will choose real estate in areas where the values are going to increase. He said, and you will be focused on the increase in value of your real estate. He said, so you did a good job. And he said, I know the area that you're in. He said, but you're not even focused on it. Your focus is somewhere else. He says, so 9 times out of 10, when you get ready to sell that property, you're not going to get the value out of it that you could have gotten out of it because you have not been focused on it. You're going to be more concerned about other things like making sure the mortgage is paid off and different things like that. So he broke that down to me. And then, yeah, he was very honest, Brother Lamont. You're right. That is rare. And before I give y'all this last little tidbit that he gave me, let me shout y'all out in the chat. Let's see what we got here. We got Brother Lamont. Good morning. Walaikum salam. Sister Betty, happy Saturday. Mom, happy Saturday. Thank you, Brother Lamont. Sister Alita says, Saturday morning blessings, family. Assalamu alaikum, sis. Sister Sandra said, happy blessed Saturday, family. Who else we got in here? Haliche says, assalamu alaikum, blessed rising. Walaikum salam, sir. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Sister Sandra, she said, great show you've been putting out there. Sister Sandra, the world is vast. Yes, ma'am, it sure is. Here's the last thing he shared with me, and we talked about this for about an hour, and I rejected it at first. He said, when we can learn to do more with less, we will begin to attract more by doing less. And I thought that that was a poor person's statement. And I said, are you saying that to me because I'm Black? And you're assuming that I have a poor money psychology, or my consciousness around money is bad. And he said, your consciousness around money is bad, but that's not why I'm saying this to you. I'm saying this to you so that you can correct your consciousness around money. And he introduced the concept of scarcity consciousness to me. And he said, most of what you've spoken with me about today is rooted in scarcity consciousness. He said, why are you in this airport? Why are you stuck in this airport? And I said, same reason why you stuck in here, it's snowing. He said, is that true? He said, could you have taken another flight? Was that option available? What happened? And when I thought about it, I said, you know what? I saw the forecast, but I wanted to make a few extra dollars. I wanted to work a couple extra hours. And I wanted to save money because I was given a certain travel allocation, and getting on this flight made more sense. I had ignored certain rules that I had, like on Fridays and things like that. I normally would take an early flight, never, excuse me, never being on the very last flight on a Friday, especially in the middle of the winter where it's storming. So when he started talking to me about that, he said, that's a scarcity mentality. He said, because those couple extra dollars you made and those couple extra dollars you saved got you spending time in this airport right now. He said, now you might be thinking it doesn't matter. He said, but how much are you worth? And so he started helping me to see what my hourly rate was worth. So when you waste time, how much money are you losing when you waste time? How valuable is your time? So in that 3-hour time frame, he ended up coaching me, and I got some nuggets. And this one was a nugget. When we can learn to do more with less, we can begin to attract more by doing less. And I thought this meant if you got $1, stretching that dollar as long as much as you possibly can. And it does mean that. But it also means if you have $10 million, doing more with that $10 million. So what do you mean? You would say, well, no, the 10 million ain't less. If I'm trying to do $20 million worth of work for that $10 million, then I'm working on doing more with less. You see that? Same applies. If I have $1 and I'm trying to buy $10 worth of groceries with $1 by getting coupons and sales or whatever, then I'm trying to do more with less. So the idea is, regardless of how much you have, you want to try to do more with less. You want to try to do more than what it is that you have. So if you got something, you stretch it. So you're not just doing more with more, you're doing more with less. And what will happen? He said, what will happen then, you will change your vibration around and your mindset around, and you'll begin to do less and you'll be attracting more. I'll give y'all time to get that, let that sink in. When we can learn to do more with less, we will begin to attract more by doing less. Now, I was of the mentality that the harder I worked, the more I did, the more I would get. I didn't look at it. I looked at it like I was exchanging time for money. I'm still a hard worker. I work my butt off. If you all know me, I'm a really, really hard worker. I'm not afraid of being tired. I'm not afraid to stay up and pull an all-nighter. I'm not afraid to get my hands dirty. I'm not afraid to get in the sun, get in the heat. I'm not afraid to sweat. I work really, really hard. I don't mind waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning if I need to. I have no problem with that. But the idea he was trying to teach me was, so what do you want in exchange for that hard work that you're doing? And when he said, and what I mean by attracting more by doing less, then he said this, and I think I said this the other day to somebody. He said, there's enough money and wisdom and love and ideas inside of you to feed the world. But you're not feeding the world because you're just exchanging time for money at whatever exchange rate you think you're worth. I literally found these notes the other day. I was going through some boxes and I found the notes from this conversation. This is what made me remember to bring this up to you guys. He said, whatever you think you're worth, you're exchanging your hard work for that. So if they're paying you $150 an hour, you feel like you're working for that $150 an hour. Now, he said, I'm not talking about cheating people or stealing time. Like, well, I don't want to do nothing and always get something. He's like, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about getting yourself out of, he used these words, the slave mentality of strictly exchanging time for money. He said, what you really want to do is switch that I'm a hard worker mentality into I'm a hard value giver. I'm a high value giver. He said, because really what I see you saying and what I'm listening to you saying that you do is you give more in service value than what it is you receive. And that's where you want to be. You always want to, as an entrepreneur, to over deliver. And a lot of people say, well, I ain't going to over deliver because people just going to take advantage of that. It ain't about the people. It's about you. Because what you want to do is you want to always over deliver. You never want your psychology to be that I'm only going to do enough. I'm going to be scarce. I'm going to pinch off. I'm going to subtract. Because what that'll do is, excuse me, my allergies is giving me a hard time today. What that will do is it will put you in a position where you will begin to attract less because your vibration is lower. So by doing less, by pulling back, by pinching off, by doing the minimum amount, very little, you're lowering your vibration. Think of it like a fire. And then all of a sudden, the flame just starts getting smaller, smaller, and smaller. Why is the flame getting smaller and smaller? Because you're turning down the heat. But if you think about giving, you know how we talk about giving and flowing and doing more, then our vibration is high. We're open. The flame is hot. We're attractive. So then we really have to do less to attract more. And I know this can be a hard concept for us to get because we've been trained differently. We have been trained differently. We don't think about vibration and effort when we're thinking about work. We're just thinking about, I got to work hard in order to have what I want. I got to check every single box. I got to bust my butt. That's not why you work hard. You work to raise your vibration. So whether that means you work extra or you work more, but you're working to raise your vibration. So when you're interacting with people, you want to make sure that your vibration is as high as it possibly can be. You should be, I practice little things like if I go into a crowded room, um, I'm really good about removing my ego. Because I said I don't need to focus on how I look. I look how I look. I remember one time I took some school pictures and I brought them home to my grandmother, and she said, "What's wrong with you?" I said, "I don't like them. I don't like how they look. I think they look ugly." She said, "Well, it's you." So I don't need to go into a place if I've already gotten dressed and I'm already looking the best that I felt like I could look. I don't need to focus no more on myself. I don't need to go in there going, look at me. Guess what I'm focused on? I'm focused on how many people and how much I can become as attractive vibrationally to myself based on my thoughts, and how many people I can bring to myself. How many people can I meet in this room? How much networking can I do? How many people can I talk to? How much can I learn tonight? I was at an event on the 4th of July and I learned a lot. A guy just bent down and just started breaking some stuff down to me based on some things that I was really interested in. But if I had been sitting there with my mental focus being on my ego, on how I look, how I vibe, let me see what I can, what I can do to make myself look better, and let me put somebody else down. If my focus is on that, and then people walking by and I'm like, ugh, look at her dress, and ugh, look at her, she don't look like me. If I was doing that, I would never have attracted that person that stooped down and taught me so much. And in that moment, raised my awareness about something, and I came up with a couple of business ideas. So once you leave the house, once you look the way you look, you don't have to keep worrying about it. Unless you're going to go back home and change clothes. Now it's time to figure out, okay, why am I here? What can I learn? What in this room can be of service to me and who I am? That's how I think. And you can say that's crazy, that's nerdish, that's weird. If I walk into a grocery store, I'm focused on what I need, but I'm also like, what interaction can happen in here? What can I see? Whether it's a color, whether it's a piece of fruit, what isn't in here that I can see or observe that can be of service to me and my mission? How can I do more with less so that I can attract more by doing less? And that means, what can I do, or where can I go, and what can I see that maybe I didn't think anything about that can bring more value into my life? It's taking ourselves out of the scarcity mentality. Next time you guys are out looking for real estate, don't look for real estate that you can work for. Look for real estate that's going to work for you. That may mean a smaller place. It may mean a place that's not as cute. It may mean a place that's bigger. It may mean a place in a certain area that you didn't think of. But this is how wealthy people think. Ain't got nothing to do with color. This This is how wealthy people think. How can I buy a piece of real estate today? Let's say it's $200,000. And in 2 years, possibly get $450,000 out of that real estate. I can't hope and dream on that. The one thing I got to do first is make sure I choose an area. So I got to study the area. I got to see what's happening in the area. What's the neighborhood look like? How can I, how is the market going to expand? What's going to happen if I decide that I want to sell this real estate? Or think of it like a bank. If I put $200,000 into this piece of property right now, in a year or two, will I be able to pull $200,000 out of it? Because if I put that $200,000 in the bank, I may think I'm pulling $200,000 out in 2 years, but I'm really pulling yet less out because of the time value of money and inflation and all of this stuff. Give me all time to think. If I put $200,000 into this property, 2 years from now, will I be able to pull $200,000 out of it? Whether I sell the property, whether I pull equity out, if I put $200,000 in the property and I'm paying $300 a month mortgage, when I add up all that cash that I'm putting in and all the repairs and everything that I'm doing, what am I going to be able to pull out of that property? If I can't pull the equivalent of that out using the time value of money, then I'm losing money. Then I should be considering then trying to figure out how I can roll out of that property and get something that's going to work for me. Some people say, well, no, because I like the school system. I like it for my children. Then that's fine. And that's additional value for you. Then that means that the loss of money is paying for you to have access to the school system or access to whatever it is that you say you want access to. But those of us that are single, we should be thinking about, how can this real estate work for me? So while I'm out working, this real estate should be over here working. So my money should be working for me. Give me a thumbs up if that makes sense to you. My money should be working for me. How do I learn to do more with less so that I can attract more by doing less? I thought of something that I need to say to you guys right in the middle of that sentence. Think about it. So, what is the doing more? I bought this property. I put $200,000 in. I'm paying $300 a month. The value of that property should be going up. So in 3 years from now, if I decide, I think I'm going to roll out of this property, I should make money off of that property. And from learning that concept years ago, it's been 20 years now, I never chose a property where the valuation would potentially be stagnant. I always made sure that I was studying markets. So I didn't purchase things emotionally, because that's what we do a lot of times. And it's okay, because a lot of times, especially with our first big purchase, or if we haven't purchased something in a while, we make an emotional purchase. It's very emotional. We're very much like, oh my God, what am I going to do? It's very, very scary and very emotional. But then after that, you got to get the hang of it, because this is what wealthy people know. This is why you have wealthy entrepreneurs out here, and people will look and say, why in the world would J-Lo spend $10 million for a property? It's because basically it's a bank. She put $10 million in the bank, and she's anticipating that 10 years from now, or whenever she's ready, she can pull that $10 million back out and then some. So she's playing the same game as the person with the 200,000. She's just playing it at a higher level, higher stakes. It's like you might be at the slot machine, at the penny machine, and she's on the craps table playing big hands. That's if you gamble. Does that make sense? You may look at it. I was watching the Breakfast Club, and Charlemagne was like, "Who in the world in a right mind would pay $10 million for a house?" Well, if you're looking at it just from a house standpoint, then maybe not. But if you're looking at it from the standpoint of real estate working for you and your money working for you, then it makes sense. So she may not be looking at it the way you're looking at it. You might be looking at it as, and then why she need a 10-bedroom house? It's just her and her husband, and they got one or two children and maybe a couple people. Why they need 10-bedroom house and 30,000 square feet for $10 million on the beach? It ain't about that. She could be by herself and still buy the $10 million house if she wanted to, because she's making her money work for her. She's making her real estate work for her. So she could be in there by her damn self. But we don't think like that. That's how, I get that from people all the time. Boy, why you need so much house? One, because I want it. Two, because I have a lot of nice things and I want to be able to have somewhere to put it. Three, because I want my real estate to work for me. I want my money to work for me. And this is one of the ways that I do it. Plus, I like variety. One day I'm in the kitchen. One day I'm in this room and another room. That's what I like. I like moving around. I'm Fulani. I'm a nomad. I don't like being in the same place all the time. But we ask these questions because we're always in somebody's business with our scarcity consciousness. We get jealous and envy because we're scarce, scarcity conscious. It don't even make no sense why she needs so many outfits, why she got so many Tams, why she got so many wigs, why she got so many hats, why she got so many shirts, why she got so many boots, so many shoes. You don't know why. Maybe she buys artwork because she knows that artwork is going to appreciate, and then her money is working for her. I learned a long time ago. I used to take $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, go buy a purse. That purse ain't working for me. That money ain't working for me when I buy the purse. All the designer going to do is go and create a new design, and then the little cheap thing that I bought for $3,000 all of a sudden is going to go out of style. And if I carry it, I'm just going to look old school, or I'm going to look dated. So why use that money for that? Why not take that $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 and let it work for me? Whether I put it in the stock market, whether I buy some Bitcoin, whether I purchase a website, and then the website is generating revenue or income, or whether I decide I want to start a business with that. Let me use it. Let me use some incorporations or build some corporations. Let me do something where that money is going to work for me. That makes more sense. But, sometimes you don't understand that when you're first starting out. And there's a balance to it, right? I like looking good, riding nice, smelling good. You ain't gonna catch me not doing that. But at the same time, I'm also conscious of how my money is working for me. If you buy a car, how do you invest in a car so that the money you put in the car is working for you? Well, it may be working for you because this car is helping you get from A to B. So there's the value exchange there. It may be a great car because it's good in the snow, right? So there's the value exchange there. So this is how we have to start thinking, in other words. Brother Lamont said, Dior makes a purse for $57 and sell it to you for $5,700. It literally has no value. That is exactly right, Brother Lamont. And some people are suing them for that. Trust me, I know that game. Now at the same time, I still like being fashion conscious. You know, you're not gonna catch me in something that's too Bama. But I learned to see value differently. I started to really look into independent designers. And I have some things in my collection that are from Black designers or um, that have a meaning. So I started to change the way I saw things. When I started to buy clothes, I buy clothes that have a meaning or some level of value to it, whether I buy it when I'm traveling or even furniture, something that's in my home. It has a story to it, it has a value to it. So learning how to make the money you spend work for you and make sure that your money psychology is such that you don't send good money after bad stuff. That's why if I walk into a store and you got an attitude towards me or you don't like me, you don't get my money. You don't get my money. I'm not going to pay you if I can help you, if I can help it. Sometimes you may not have a choice, but I'm not going to put my money down behind somebody that got an attitude towards me. If I walk in a store and you can't talk to me, and some of these stores where they decide they just want to follow all the Black people around and um, they don't want to help us, then you don't get my money. You don't get my money. If I'm standing at a counter and you keep walking past me and you don't say anything to me because you don't think that I'm going to buy anything, and then somebody else walks up and maybe they have a different persuasion and you go to them because you think they're going to buy, you're not getting my sale. You're not getting my sale. I'm not going to do it. I remember Oprah talking about being in a store one time in Italy. I didn't have this type of experience in Italy, but apparently she did. She was at a store and she asked a woman to see a purse that was on the top of the shelf. And the woman wouldn't bring the purse down. And she went, and I'm paraphrasing the story. Sorry if I'm butchering it. And she went to another shelf and said, well, what about this one, which was a cheaper purse? And if I was Oprah, I would not have rewarded that woman, that owner, or that store with my purchase. I wouldn't have bought 3 or 4 bags up out of there. That's ego to prove a point. Okay, let me get the whole top shelf. I wouldn't do that. You're not going to get my money like that. I would have told her or had somebody else tell her, you know what? She said, I'm Oprah Winfrey. I'd have said, I'm Sajda Wendy Muhammad. I came in here to get 4 bags. But guess what? I'm not buying one from you now because of how you just treated me. And I would walk out. So we have to learn not to spend our money in places. That's why it's important. I even pay attention to the types of companies that I'm doing business with. Sometimes you can't help it. A lot of us going back and forth over Tesla, trying to figure that out. It's like, all right, well, Ford is a trip and Cadillac's a trip. And sometimes you go back through history, you're going to find a lot of stuff. So sometimes we vacillate over that. I'm in that vacillation right now with Elon Musk and Tesla. Do I sell the Tesla because he acts so racist, or at least is represented as being racist? But what do I sell it for? Do I go with a GM electric car when GM is the one who stole the original motorized vehicle from a Black man who invented it, and they just mass produced it and didn't give him any credit? If you start doing that, you won't be doing business with nobody, because we just live in a world where at that point in time when this world began, when this country was founded, Black people were not citizens. We were not human. We were here. We were adding value, and the country and the world was built on our back. But if we invented something, we didn't get to keep the invention. If we designed a new way to do business or a new way of doing doing a job. We didn't get to keep the process. The process wasn't named after us. We were written out and unpersoned. So you start doing that, it's going to be tough. You're going to have to really invent your own self. So I guess I need to make up my own. I did hear that there was a black owned electric car company, but I don't even know where to get it. um anyway, just some food for thought. All right, y'all, I'm gonna get out of here. It's Saturday. I hope you got a little bit out of this conversation today. um just wanted to get us away from scarcity consciousness. Okay, scarcity, that's the definition up there, the state of being scarce or in short supply. Okay, it's a mindset. Is when we are so obsessed with a lack of something, usually time or money, that we can't seem to focus on anything else, no matter how hard we try. It's always, I don't have enough time, I don't have enough money, I don't have enough this, I don't have enough that, blah, 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 blah. All right. Um, okay, family. Thank you all. Thank you. Thank you. He's going with the Caddy lyric. Okay, Caddy lyric. I heard some people saying about the Caddy lyric. That's a nice truck. I do like that. All right, family, I'm going to go. May Allah bless you. Have a wonderful day. Wishing each and every one of you more goodness and more love than you've ever experienced or imagined. Let me tell y'all something. You got to make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you like and make sure you subscribe. We got to make this go viral ourselves. You got to share it. You got to forward it. Make sure that you're doing that. Subscribe, subscribe, subscribe. And give a cash app, give a love offering, because a lot of times, depending on what we're talking about, um, we're really shadow banned, and they push down the subject matter. So, and I don't pay for ads. So I'm not one of those persons that will buy ads, or I don't put a certain amount of money into geofencing or AdWords or anything like that. I just don't. I have not found it to be a return on value. There was a point in time, I remember, for one of my businesses where we were chucking out about $20,000-$30,000 a month in AdSense, and we had this company that was helping us and all of that. And I don't really see where it was really returning a lot of value. Now, some people do. It just, for me, it just hasn't worked, probably because of the type of content that I put out here. I'm always trying to help us and help us get to the next level, and that's not really very popular. Okay. Okay. Peace and blessings, family. I will see you all, God willing, on Monday for Monday morning motivation. All right. Besides just Monday morning motivation. Have a good day. Love y'all.